You can get everything in life that you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Zig Ziglar. What up, world, and welcome back to another episode of the Seeds of Success podcast. It's your host, Colin Walters, and today I want to walk through a coaching call that I did last week with a prospective new client and how it's specifically going to help you make it known for what you want. And so here's the scenario. We're going to start with a quick story. I'm going to give you a 3-step framework for what we walk through and then a takeaway at the end. So there's a client, prospective new client that was referred to by a coaching client of mine. And long story short, he's been in the family construction business for the last 4 years. Young kid, hungry, go-getter, very charismatic. It was apparent in talking with him that he's got great communication skills. He's super eager to learn, enthusiastic, and he's doing labor. He's done labor for the last 4 years. He wants to get into a sales role within the company. However, the owner, who also happens to be his father, does not want him to actually go and pursue that role. Specifically, he wants him to stay in the exact role where he's at, earn his keep. He hasn't received a pay raise in quite some time. So he's eager to do a couple things. Number one, go get into a sales role that he specifically has been aspiring to for years at this point. And number two, he wants to increase his income and earning capacity. And so how this is relevant to you is my first piece of advice in this situation is you have to make it known for what you want, right? Nobody is going to be a bigger advocate for yourself than you. Doesn't matter if you're in the family business, doesn't matter if your dad is the owner of the business, it doesn't matter if people have advocated for you in the past. Don't get me wrong. I am not standing here today doing what I can do without the belief of other people in me. That is inherently 100% a fact, right? Other people's belief in me and my abilities have definitely given me confidence over time to actually go and grow into the type of person that I always knew I could become. That being said, you are responsible for making it known for what you want, right? And how this is relevant to the story is it's been months, 4, 5, 6 months, something along those lines, to where they've even had a conversation about a promotion, about the sales role, about the next step in the growth phase of development within the company. And so here's the 3 steps that we did and the 3 steps that I prescribed that take it for however it's worth and valuable to you. As we always say, take what is valuable, discard the rest. Right? So here's step 1 of what we did. Number 1 is we scheduled a meeting for this kid with his father, again, who is the president of the company. And we specifically decided to do this in a business setting, in the office, right? Not at home, not within, family confines, right? Because he is still living at home with them, right? Don't want to muddy the waters at all, but actually scheduling a business meeting to sit down and talk about where we want to go, right? And specifically, this ties right into making it known because you are the one that is solely responsible for making it known. People have a million and one things that they are thinking about. Of course, there are times where they are going to think, "Oh yeah, you know, this person would be good. Colin would be good for this role." However, they are not going to actually think about that unless you really make it known and unless you consistently remind them of this and also back it up with the work that you're doing that supplements why you actually would be a good fit, right? And so that was step 1 is we took action in scheduling that meeting and it is set for this upcoming week. And so then number 2, what we decided was I prescribed a plan, right? So step 2, sit down and make a plan about specifically what this promotional path would look like. Okay. So what we did is, and I'm sure maybe you've heard of this before, but we prescribed a 30, 60, 90-day plan of what a potential promotional path and plan can look like. So here were a couple things that I suggested and that we talked about, right? And apply this however might be valuable. Maybe this is ideas that inspire other ideas for you. Maybe you take this exact structure. But this is what we essentially talked about is in your first 30 days, here's the written out plan of what he's going to do, right? Fridays from 11 to 1, he's going to go shadow the other sales individual within the company, right? So he's going to get hands-on experience, riding shotgun, seeing how these sales calls goes, and then from there be able to start learning, getting hands-on experience, accumulating experience, right? To be able to pull from. That is one aspect of the 30, 60, 90 plan. In this first month, we also talked about getting into some type of sales course or book or learning program, whether that's free, whether that's paid for, whether that is his own resources, just coming up with some plan for development and learning within a sales and business development role. And so that was another aspect to this plan. Um, there was additional things, right? Development sessions, strategy sessions, working overtime to make up for any lost time, right? So coming in early, staying late, making sure that his current role is still being fulfilled 100%, even though he is going above and beyond with being proactive in the approach within the 30, 60, 90, right? And then moving into 60 days, right? Then maybe it goes from 1 day a week to 2 days a week. Okay. And then maybe it's Tuesdays and Fridays. And on the Tuesdays, he starts actually leading the calls. And on Fridays, he's still shadowing. And then in the 90 days, right? So 3 months into this plan, then maybe he's leading both of those Tuesday, Friday sales calls. And then he has the other sales individual shadowing and being there for support, right? So it's this progressional development plan. Okay, maybe a couple other things in there are weekly goals, activities, and metrics that are being tracked that are relevant to the future role that he is aspiring for in this sales role. Mapping out process for a backfill. This one's huge and not to be overlooked. This was something that I did when 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever this was, and I was an SDR making outbound calls, booking meetings for AEs, right? And then part of my promotional path was to create processes and systems for the SDR that was going to be backfilling for me, not if, but when I got promoted to an account executive, right? So making it easy for a successful transition because of course, that's going to help you actually be able to get to that AE role. It's going to help you understand what the processes and systems are. It's going to help the SDR who's filling in for you get off with the least amount of downtime as possible. And it's going to help the company, right? Because then they have an SDR who's just immediately backfilled. And so don't overlook that one. Um, and so here's the real kicker though. Why I think this is important, whether it's a 30, 60, 90-day plan that you do, whether it's a Word document that you type out of some sort of business plan or promotional path, whether it's a PowerPoint that you put together, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet showing numbers and goals and, checklists, whatever it is, right? The important part is that you show you have strategically thought about what this looks like. Okay. And why this is important is because the individuals who have the power to actually promote you and move you into a specific role, they want to see how you think. And so if you can clearly articulate how you are thinking about not only the goal, getting to that sales role, right? Or the promotion or whatever you're going for, maybe it's a bonus in your career, right? But they want to understand how are you actually thinking about this from a strategic standpoint. And so this plan shows how you're thinking. It shows what the ultimate goal is. It shows where you are and your actual plan that you have proactively thought about and strategically thought about and put it into a tangible piece of evidence, right? And that's so huge and shows proactiveness. It shows taking initiative. It shows being able to think creatively and strategically and have a plan and then how to execute a plan. All the characteristics and assets and skills that are necessary for that role. You follow me? Okay. And so that was step 2. Step 1, we scheduled the meeting to actually have this business conversation about the promotional plan. Number 2, we built a plan in order to present it. Number 3, we are going to actually sit down and execute this conversation. Couple things that go into this. Number 1, actually having whether it's a printed out piece of paper, if you're in a in-person meeting, right? Or maybe again, it's a PowerPoint that you want to present, right? Don't kill them with slides. Okay. Make it easy to follow along. But the idea here is that you have something tangible that is going to help you do a couple things. Number one, navigate the conversation. Okay. You're going to be able to control the narrative and control the story about where you want to go. Okay. Because it can be very easy. And, I've done this plenty of times in my career and life of kind of just rambling through things. Okay. And so something that is tangible, that is outlined, is going to make it easy for you to clearly articulate this story in a chronological order that makes sense to the recipient, whether that's the hiring manager, the sales manager, the president, his father in this case, right? And it's also going to give you confidence so that you can, number one, feel prepared going in. Preparation, right? I first heard it from my man, Russell Wilson, right? The separation is in the preparation. The more that you do up front, the more confident you're going to feel in what you actually deliver and going into that conversation. Number two, it's going to give you an outline. Okay. So you can be able to clearly articulate what you're saying. And number three, it's also just going to allow you to have this conversation that shows the work you've done, where you want to go ultimately, and then give yourself the best shot at making this happen. It's not going to be guaranteed, right? It's not guaranteed that they're going to say, yes, this is amazing, looks great, but what it will do is drastically increase your odds of success for whatever you're striving for. And I think that is super important to recognize. It's just that you are increasing your odds to go get what you want. And in that conversation, here is the last thing I want to leave you with is that, of course, this is going to be amazing for you, assuming that it pans out, right? And if it doesn't, still an amazing exercise to go through and gives you skills and templates that you can use in the future. And upfront work goes a long way for whatever you're going after and trying to achieve. That being said, one thing in this conversation that is super critically important to recognize is that you are adding value to the business. You're adding value to the customers. You're adding value to the clientele, the manager, the president, right? So one thing that we talked about, and my question to him was, hey, do you feel like you would be a more valuable asset as a labor worker in this company or an individual contributor in a sales role? And it was undoubtedly a sales role would add more value to the company because he was a smart kid, great people skills. His strengths were very well rooted in communication, interpersonal communication skills, and and having a super growth mindset. And it was very apparent in 60 minutes talking with this guy that he had what it took, or he does have what it takes to go and have a successful start at getting into sales and really seeing if he can make this a career, right? And then him developing will only help increase sales, increase revenue, increase clientele, customer satisfaction, everything that goes in with having phenomenal sales reps and customer experience, right? And so he already has like so many years of experience in the industry, knowledge, right? Grew up in the industry, so it's all there. And so that in that conversation that you do have, right? Of course, make it known like that you want this. Make it known that you're advocating for this. Also, make it known that this will be better for them, the company, and the customers. And so, with that, I just want to encourage you whatever you're thinking about going for, shoot your shot. Whatever you're thinking about is a goal that will stretch you, will challenge you. Go take the shot because you just never know until you actually go for it. And, and I say this from experience. I can't tell you how many, when I was an SDR looking to become an AE, I met with every single sales manager in the company. I was interviewing them just as much as they were interviewing me. I wanted to know, who do I vibe with? Whose type of energy do I like working with? Who can I learn from and grow with and develop with? Who do I think I will actually be able to help the most? Right? Do I want to go account management? Do I want to go new business as an account executive? What suits my strengths more? And with those conversations and meetings with sales managers, I met with the VPs, and this was on a weekly, bi-weekly cadence. And I was not hitting them up every single week. This was like, one manager one week, another manager, a next week. And it would be very strategically thought out about maybe like a month cadence, making it known like a little ping here, a little message there, something in the hallway, take them out to lunch, right? You take them out to lunch, make sure you buy their lunch. Okay. All the little things that go a long way. So then when the opportunity arises, not if, but when, it is a no brainer that you are the individual that comes to mind. Ladies and gentlemen, make it a no brainer. And I will see you on the next episode.